What's up, all of my fellow weebs and weebettes? It is Anime Alex, back again on the build video. I haven't actually, because all the builds are pretty much up until this point very gore centric, so I just felt like it was redundant for me to put out like a build video when all my builds are basically like everyone else's. 4-piece gore with the numinous chest plate. But now that we got Val, not AT Val, AT Ray Dow, we got basically some new goodies to try out. And I was in the training room and I was testing stuff, and I was like, did I find a new build that's stronger than the Gore 4-piece that I was running? Now, granted, laden power will only activate 2 minutes within the hunt, and or if you take 120 or 150 attack or damage, right? Something like that. But either or, whatever happens first, if you hit the damage threshold or what, or if you hit the time threshold, and then it'll go down on a timer until the next 2 minutes eclipses. I obviously, in the training area, I can just set everything to the max, and you could see what we're cooking here. But if you're not facing like AT Raydao or Zoshia, most of your hunts are going to be from like 5 minute sub on average. If you're a speedrunner, you're pretty much going to get like about 2 minutes tops, 3 minutes tops. So if you're speedrunning, it might not be that good. And it also pretty much won't be that great for elemental gunning. So those are the caveats, but this is just strictly for Pierce, which ironically we are using Raydow's light bowgun for Pierce. Um, Let me get into the equipment info. All right, so this is what I'm rocking. I'm rocking Ray Sandhelm Gamma, Numinous Shroud Beta Chest, Ray Sand Braces Gamma, Ray Sandcoil Gamma, and then Ray Sandgreaves Beta. Now, with rocking just normal Raydao Beta legs, will give you the 4-piece Thunderous Roar, which will take our laden power from, I think it's a 2 minute timer, all the way up to like a 3 minute, 30-second timer. It's pretty crazy because Thunderous Roar 1 only gives you 30 seconds extra. So once we get this proc, this should honestly stay with us for probably the rest of the hunt for most hunts. Now, we are rocking the Challenger Charm 2 in the Corrupted Mantle. Uh, you might be wondering why I only have Laden Power 4. And that is because even though you can go Laden Power 5, get up to 95% affinity, which when you account for Weakness Exploit 1, you'll reach 100% affinity. That's good. That's even without Corrupted Mantle, by the way. That's good and all. But as a gunner in this game, I can't really part ways with earplugs level 2 just because it makes a lot of hunts just very comfy. If you can go without earplugs too, that's fine. Just swap out one of the earplugs for a laden power deco, and then the other for a burst deco if you just want to go like max deeps. But even with this build, we are pushing 85% affinity with 90% affinity on weak zones, and then once we put on Corrupted Mantle, we'll get 100% affinity still. We just have the added bonus of having earplugs level 2, because when you're not getting roared out of your burst stepping or just shooting in general, then you're doing more DPS overall. uh, and also getting stunned pretty much sucks, as one would think. If you are phasing off against Zoshia, Gore Magala, or Gravios, and for some reason you are using a Pierce LBG against Gravios when Mizutsune's water LBG is right there, or an Ardian is right there, then I mean, you go for it, I guess. Uh, but I either way, if you need to drop an extra throttle jewel to go down to 30% affinity once it procs, and you get up to 75%, then that's fine too. That would be like 80% off a crit, and then with mantle it'd be 90% affinity. uh Granted, maximum might is pretty much not going to proc off a burst step, really, so just letting that be known. And what I mean by burst stepping is when you have your rapid fire gauge and you go to the left, but then you basically input your shoot, your fire button, and your dodge button. Since I'm playing on PC, I basically had to remap my dodge button, like my evade button, to like my mouse micro. Uh, so both my space in my mouse are essentially roll buttons. But that allows you to at least press space and then mess that up. It allows you to shoot, press space, and then with correct timing, because for some reason my timing is off, it's not always gonna register, because sometimes it'll just register the roll. But essentially, you should be able to just kind of go back and forth with correct timing. I usually kind of figure out that at the end of the animation, it should be going like right there. When I was evade reloading, it worked, and then for out of the evade reload, you can press the micros again, and you could just go straight into dodge stepping or burst stepping. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. The PC for some reason doesn't really register double inputs really fast, so you kind of have to be like really on point. And even if you feel like you're on point, sometimes it just doesn't register it. And yeah, it sucks. But uh coming into our weapons of choice, we're using the Zelatia Claire gun, which is Ray Dow's LBG. It gives us level 2 opening shot with level 1 slugger. Obviously, slugger ain't going to matter, but the level 2 opening shot does, because that's our only way of increasing our reload speed. For the jewels, we got critical jewel 3, and an opener jewel 1. I do have a precise jewel 2, but feel free, if you again want more damage, then you can change out this precise jewel 2 to a critical jewel 2 and have just critical boost 5, which honestly not that bad. um Not that bad, but for me, I do like shooting at, you know, a good range, and I do feel as if in this game, the light bowgun's range is very finicky. They want you to stay, like, pretty close up to the monster like this, but as you know, sometimes when you're that close up to the monster, your critical distance will just be very finicky, and yeah. So sometimes just staying a little bit farther away or getting that extra space is better to fire. but you do what you want. This is just a more comfy setup, and for the last two slots, like 2-1 slots, I just put Divine Blessing level 2, just so we can tank more attacks. This set, the 3-piece AT Grey DAU set does come with guts. Uh, so, and I also heard that if you proc guts and you go underneath the little like bar, that yellow bar on top of my as you see, I got that yellow bar in my health, and that basically is guts. If I'm above that threshold, then I can proc guts from there. And if I'm above that threshold before I go down on that threshold, I believe I get like a 5% uh increase in damage, which is basically a pierce up. When you think about it, is essentially just pierce up. And when you go lower, then I think that buff gets taken away, and then you get defense, like a defense bonus. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments about that. I'm still trying to figure this out as we go, but I'm going to show you a little bit of damage numbers. First I'm going to go towards Gore, my OG Gore setup, which, uh this is running weakness exploit 2, earplugs 2 with evade extender 1. Come over to Luke so he can apply all of our buffs, and so we're sitting at like 15% affinity due to Ag5. We also need to proc here. Let's quickly proc antivirus for all right. So now we're at 40% affinity. I'm not going to use corrupted mantle for the time being. So I'm getting 165, 155, 194, but I think that also procced a wound, so we're not going to count that one. That was 196 on wound. 177. And those were like our first few. That was like our first few hits. But then sometimes we'll go down to 144. So as you see, due to our affinity not being really high, our numbers can be sporadically everywhere. As you see, I hit like a 201, I'll hit like a 136, I'll hit a 145, or I could hit a 165. It's all pretty much random. I don't have a pierce up deco because RNG has not favored me. I know I have every other. I have several spread ups and several 4-shot ups, but no pierce ups. So uh that was the Gore. Now, if you have shorter hunts that you're not gonna be activating latent power, then Gore will be better. Just on average, because you can proc Gore's antivirus way faster than you can latent power. But if you're in those hunts that do take a little bit longer and you can get multiple latent power procs, then I'd probably say latent power, because latent power will give you. That was 90. That was 190 just off of jump, off a rip. That was 190. That was 184. There's a wound. That was 189. 146. 147. 175. As you see, we're hitting like more consistent, bigger numbers. We still haven't hit a 201, but I've only hit a 201 one time with a Gore. So That was like a 189. Up there's the 201. As long as you procced a wound, which I do believe I procced a wound to hit that 201 shot with the gore. But as you see, we're not dropping down to like the 130s that we were in Gore. We're actually staying at a consistent 169 to 175 bases with some hits going into 188 and 190 range. So I would say once you proc lane power, on a consistent basis, you will be doing more damage than the gore. But granted, that's only if you hit the proc very fast. But in your average 5 minute hunts, once you hit that 2 minute mark, having four pieces will pretty much carry you to the end of that hunt, and you should be doing some big numbers. This is like a little side grade. Uh, this is like a little side grade, and this should give you more defensive capabilities while also providing a little bit more comfort skills with earplugs and evade extenders. If you try to use this build, let me know how it's working, y'all, in comments. And with all that being said, I'll catch you in the next one.